Hi Tubers, hi, I'm back with the 23 books of 2023, and okay, this is a very interesting one. I didn't particularly like it. This is the second book of the project. Normally, every time I'm reading a book with attention to review, I can't mentally kind of go through what I'm going to say at certain points, like, well, that's interesting, I'm going to say that when I'm doing a review. Typically kind of ineloquent, because, you know, people who actually watch my reviews know that I stumble over my words. I say okay a lot, okay, even though I know I do that. It's like a habit of mine. What I'm trying to break, sometimes I look, when I'm uploading them, I'm like going through the reviews, and then I'm like, I don't even remember saying it, but I said it, because you kind of get into a zone when you're doing reviews. So when I was reading this, I was kind of mentally going through what I was going to say, but when I came to putting it all together, I struggled to actually remember anything about it. This book kind of felt so superficial. This is a book that has got lots of reviews on Goodreads. Everyone seems to like it. Actually, no, they don't. A lot of people don't, for actually the same reasons that I don't particularly like it. So, it's called The Girl Who Reads on the Metro by Christian Féret-Fleury. Okay? Okay, so, got this in a charity shop. It was 50p. As most of my books are, okay? You can kind of tell from the bad estate that most of them come from charity shops, because I'm poor. Right, I read the blurb. Have you heard the principle of releasing books into the wild? And Juliette takes the Metro to a load office job each morning. Her to escape his books, she avidly reads on her journey and imagines what her fellow commuters' choices might say about them. Then she meets Soliman, the mysterious owner of the most enchanting bookshop Juliette has ever seen. Her things will never be the same again, for someone believes that in the power of books to change the course of a life, and is about to change Juliette's forever. Okay, so Juliette gets on the Metro every single day to a boring office job. She particularly hates it, but it pays the bills. I mean, and she kind of observes what people are actually reading. Now, this is all of us. I mean, when I'm on the tube, I sit there reading a book, or any form of public transport, and then sometimes, okay, you look at someone else, like another commuter, and they're sitting there like that, and you're like, ooh. Sometimes even say, people in conversations like, oh my god, I've read that, or oh my god, I've been meaning to read that. And is it any good? Right, so, right, this bit here. This is chapter 2. There was the old lady, the maths student, the amateur ornithologist, the gardener, and the woman in love. At least Juliette assumed she was in love from her slight breathlessness, and tiny tears that formed on her eyelashes when she was 3/4 of the way through whatever romantic novel she was devouring that day. There were fat books, dog-eared from being read all over again, and sometimes on the cover there was an illustration of a couple locked in an embrace of a blood-red background, or a lace suggestion of a bra. Okay. Juliette observes these people reading all these books. She observes them, but they always seem to be reading exactly the same thing. Like, it's like the same commuter train, okay, every single day. The same people on said train. The same people reading basically the same kind of book each day. No diversity. And she's just observing them. And the fact is, it's like, well, she's reading on the train and observing these people, but what's she reading? Yeah, and I never ever really got that. I never ever really got that. It just seems kind of like being a book. What I do is, hi, cryptic charm, real name Jodie. I'm 42 years of age. I'll be 43 when this has been thing. I sit on my bed or in a location with my phone on a tripod, and I do book reviews. Okay, because I like to talk about books. See, that's something, but it's like, where's her passion? Where's this? Also, where the time in where was this set? I mean, people who love books normally talk about books, or but skimming the surface, absolutely skimming the surface, until the day she decides to follow this cat. Okay, well, hey, following a cat in France, or Paris, okay, and she walks into a bookshop, okay, and it talks about the love of books. So this bit here, this chapter 3. She always loved the smell of books, especially when she bought them second-hand. New books had different smells too, depending on the paper and glue used, but did nothing of the hands that held them. The houses that had been their home. They had no stories of their own yet, separate from the ones they told. A parallel, hazy story. Hazy secret. Right, well, it is true. See, I like that aspect. It's that you go into a bookshop. I mean, come on, everyone knows the smell of an old bookshop, okay? A used bookshop. The smell of old books. You go into like an old library, the smell of the books, okay? Because of the glue and the history and the richness and even the texture of the paper. I once held a book from the 19th century, so it was over 100 years old, okay? Written in, I think it was like 1862, and just feeling the paper and the texture and the print was all different. I did absolutely nerd out, by the way, because I am a dork for books. Right. But keeps talking to Kay about, so she meets this guy called Soliman, okay, and his daughter Zaid, and literally, it just felt like he makes her a cup of coffee, they get chatting, and within like seconds, she's going to throw in her job to work in his bookshop and basically keep an eye on his daughter because he's going away. This bit here, okay, once I'm talking about books, he seems to collect books but not really read them, okay. On Sundays, Juliette went to every car boot sale because she hated the sight of those books, but sorry, that's again. On Sundays, Juliette went to every car boot sale because she hated the sight of those boxes where old books had been chucked carelessly, almost with disdain, which no one bought. People came for second-hand clothes, 70s bric-a-brac, and household appliances that were still in working order. Oh no. She had the slightest interest in books, so she bought them and filled her shopping basket with odd books, recipe or DIY books, sexy crime fiction, which she didn't like, just to hold them in her hands, give them a little TLC. So, I've never turned the camera around, okay? I have a bookcase there, one there, a built-in bookcase actually came in the house, one at the top, another bookcase. Behind me is also bookcases, but no books are on them yet. I've got a chubby red pile on the floor, okay? I buy these books because I generally love them, or I'm a collector of books, okay? She's buying books, not because she loves them, just to give them a second chance. So she's basically hoarding books. Books are born to be, well, unless you're actually collecting them, okay? Because if you've got a signed first edition, you do not read it, okay? It decreases the value. Or very old book, okay? But you buy them because you love them. You may not read them now, you read them eventually. But she's not buying books because she loves them. She's just buying them just to give them a second chance of life. She's just hoarding her books. What she's doing is hoarding these books. Right. So she meets Soliman and his daughter Zaid, and she decides to jack in her job and move into the bookshop because Soliman's going away. Okay. Now this could have been a really kind of interesting kind of discussion about the immigrant experience. You kind of get hints of that with Soliman, okay, but you don't. It's just skimming the surface, okay. And his daughter Zaid is just described as being so damn perfect. He's a perfect little girl, right? Skimming the surface. All this does is skimming the surface, okay. He found it in your notice. Clasped his knee, Soliman rocked back and forth on his chair. When his knee banged against the table, he swung back again. The bookshelves behind him stopped and sent him back towards Juliette. Juliette said nothing because it was a statement rather than a question. She simply nodded with a vigour that seemed unnecessary. I gave him a book before leaving, only one. No, one for Chloe, and one for Monsieur Bernard as our colleagues. And, with this, one of her colleagues, she gives them this book, and it changes her life totally. And she just changes her career and changes everything about it. Okay, because it discusses something called book crossing. Okay, now I've done this myself. Okay, like, you're on like a tube or a train, you finished a book, you're not going to review it because you've felt indifferent, so you leave it behind, or you give it to someone. Or sometimes, okay, I have read a book, and like I've found a holiday. Okay, I've taken a few books with me, and there's like a place where you can just swap your books or just leave them there. When I was in Poland, there was a Cafe Nero which was just full of bookcases. And people bought their books after they read them, and there was a book exchange there. Book crossing is, but unlike being a lot of, like, these book crossers, some included, okay, will follow people. They will essentially stalk people. They will follow them to find out what they are like, and then find the right book for them. Okay, that's what book crossing is. So imagine you are walking, just happy down the road, la la la. And someone comes up to you and says, I've been following you and I know what you're into, so here's a book and you might like it. Like, say, okay, I was in London and I went into Forbidden Planet, which I always do. Then I crossed over the road and went into Hotel Chocolate. I always do that, so they're right opposite each other. Someone stopped me, okay, and said, oh, I noticed you like sci-fi and fantasy, okay. I noticed you went into Hotel Chocolate, so here's a book chocolate, because it has a bit of magical realism in it and chocolate. I would feel stalked. That's stalking. Right. but that's not never even addressed. And Juliette was very, very much of an introspective character. I never kind of got her, but the way she sees her life is, you know, she moved to Paris, she works in this humdrum life, she loves books, she likes to rescue them, okay? And the thing is, she's very introspective, okay, about herself, okay? And maybe about the kind of wars, okay, that, you know, come before that she's missed out on, okay? The big changes, okay? Like this bit here, right? It's a bit where she's talking about, she's allowed herself to be pushed around, okay? Right. Why Juliette allowed herself to be pushed around? Where'd you come from? Almost everyone had let themselves be pushed around. There weren't many rebels. Her grandmother, on the other hand, had fought for the right to abortion, for gender equality, for African American civil rights, against nuclear power stations, forced relocations, massacres in Vietnam and the war in Iraq. While alive, she distributed leaflets, called on demos, signed petitions, and engaged in passionate debates on the way they could change the world. Wow, Granny's cool. Granny's cool. But it's true, it's kind of like you'd rub without a cause. When every single battle is won, what's left? What's left for your anger? Right. And she talks about Soliman, because as soon as she gets there, Soliman goes away, okay? And she talks about, she kind of idolises Soliman's life, his book crossing ways in his little bookshop. But I never really got Soliman, okay? Soliman, okay, made a coffee and they talked to Kay about books. Right. What he's talking about, well, this is the part where she's talking about the places that you read in books, okay, when you visited them, so then you visit them, okay? Deep down, she understands Soliman, and that leaves him in no pretend to lead a normal life. He had chosen to hide away in a fortress built of books fragments, which he readily sent out into the world and sent a message in a bottle or across the sea, offering them gestures of affection destined for kindred spirits, those who, outside the walls, were confronted with real life. Right. So she's idolising Soliman for his life after he lost so much and coming to Paris, okay, with his daughter, and now he's kind of off the mind. So she's idolising. She's worshipping a ghost, okay. But it all kind of makes into she gets this moment, okay, surrounded by the books and the hoarding, to go out into the world. She takes this moment, okay, to go into the world. Since her books are now inspiring people to go out more into the world, including her colleague, her name is Carol, okay, she decides to do the same. She's going to get a big yellow bus, okay, and just travel around in it, finding the right books for the right people. Right, this bit here. I have lots of books in a minibus, and I'm going to go see people in the villages, and I'll take the time to get to know them at least a little. It'll be easier to advise them, to find the right book for them. Right. Does what Soliman wanted so much for you? Does what Soliman wanted matter? Does what Soliman wanted matter so much to you? This sentence is really lazy. Did it ever occur to you that he was simply mad and the rest of us with him? Yeah, it is mad. So that's what she's going to do with her life, is go around in a little yellow minibus and give out books. Now, I can see why this was such a big hit, okay? It's well written at times, lovely kind of lyrical style, but kind of skims the surface. Now, there is something very magical, okay, about being in a bookshop, okay, or when I'm in a charity shop trying to find the right book, where I pick this one up for now for 50p. But, you know, the whole kind of a book finding people, the right book for the right person, but everyone's kind of nuanced. If you watch my reviews, you can see, okay, I've got I do a little bit of everything I can get hold of, okay, I don't really have a genre. So the whole kind of the right book for the right people, people start, taste change. So, I didn't like it. Well written, but I just got nothing from it. I finished this review, and I physically could not remember anything about it. So, anyway, I'll sign off here. 23 books 2023. Bye now.